everyone, I was just going through this list of cities in Haryana and guess what I found? Did you know this city Karnal in Haryana is named after the Mahabharata character Karna? Many of you might know him by different names such as Suryaputra, Radheya and even Angraj. Well, Karna was the eldest Pandav. He was born to Kunti, the Pandav's mother, out of a boon given by sage Durvasa. Sage Durvasa blessed her with a mantra which she could recite and call upon any divine being to provide her with the son without having to lose her virginity. In order to test the boon, Kunti called upon Suryadev. Bound by the boon, he had to bless her with a son. That's how people know Karna as Suryaputra, the son of Suryadev, Karna, the Suryaputra. But now Kunti was a marriedless mother. So that no question could befall on her character, she abandoned the baby. Because it was Suryadev's son, the baby was provided with an armor, the kavach and kundal, which protected him from all dangerous weapons. Later, somewhere in Hastinapur, a couple, Adhirath and Radha, found a baby in a basket floating in the river. They suddenly reached out to the baby. This baby was Karna, the Suryaputra. They decided to keep the baby and become his foster parents. Adhirath was a charioteer of Bhishma Pitama, the commander of Kuru army of Hastinapur kingdom. Therefore, they were not rich people. Still, they loved and took care of Karna as if it was their own. From his foster mother's name too, Karna was known as Radheya, and by his father's profession, he was named Sutputra. Sut was referred to as people of lower caste who were not Brahmin nor Kshatriya. Because of this reason, Karna had to face a lot of hardships. His life was not an easy one. As he got into adulthood, he developed interest in bow and arrow. To pursue his interest, he went to Guru Drona, who refused to teach him as he was a Sutputra. Karna realized that this barrier could not let him learn. But he also knew that now he had to do anything. He could not let any barrier come in his way. So he disguised himself as a Brahmin and went to Bhagwan Parshurama, who only taught Brahmins. Karna was a diligent student and Bhagwan Parshurama trained him to the point where he declared that Karna had surpassed him in arts of war. But then, one day, Bhagwan Parshurama realized that Karna was a Kshatriya and not a Brahmin. Therefore, he cursed Karna that there will come a time when Karna would require his knowledge to fight a battle or to invoke an astra, but at that moment, he won't be able to recall anything. Leaving upset from Parshurama's ashram, Karna wandered for some time. He was practicing his archery skills when he accidentally hit a cow. The cow wriggled in pain, hearing which the cow's owner reached the spot immediately, seeing his cow helplessly waiting for death to end its pain. That is when the cow owner cursed Karna that he too will die helpless death in the most decisive battle of his life. After this, Karna returned back to his home, informing his parents about his trainings, but kept the curses a secret. Now with all these skills that he had acquired, he wanted a position at the Hastinapur's court. Simultaneously, the 100 Kauravas and 5 Pandavas too had acquired their trainings and learnings from Guru Drona. In order to test their skills, Guru Drona had organized an event at the court for the princes of Hastinapur, where they showcased their learnings by indulging in a duel, in which Karna challenged Arjun, the 3rd Pandav, to which Guru Drona refused, saying that the duel could only be fought between princes. Karna, being a Sutputra, could not contest. At this moment, Duryodhana announced Karna the king of Ang, which is now Bihar, Bengal. Therefore, from the name of the place of his new kingdom, he got his new name, Angraj, the king or Raja of Ang. Karna was emotionally overcome by this gesture and asked Duryodhana what he could do to repay him, in reply to which Duryodhana asked for his friendship. It was due to this friendship Karna laid his loyalty in him and fought the Mahabharata on his side. Karna was said to be a very generous king. He took an oath that anyone who approached him with a request at midday when he would worship the sun, the person would go away with his request fulfilled, which is why Karna is also called Danveer. As the war was approaching, Indradev, Arjun's spiritual father, disguised himself as a Brahmin and asked Karna for his kavach and kundal, to which Karna, without giving any second thoughts, took out a knife and peeled off the armor from his body. Even in situations like these, when Karna knew that his kavach and kundal were a protective shield and would protect him in the war, he gave it up as no one was sent back empty-handed. Indradev was very happy by this gesture of Karna and gifted him a very powerful astra. Then, once while roaming in his kingdom, Karna saw a small girl crying. He went up to her and asked her why she was crying. She said that her stepmom would be furious as she had dropped the ghee from the earthen pot. Karan laughed at this petty issue and said he would provide her with another pot of ghee. The girl was adamant that she wanted the spilled ghee only. Now Karan had no option left, so he took out the wet soil in his hands and squeezed it with all his might and separated the ghee from the soil, making the girl happy. Suddenly when Karan heard another woman crying, that woman was Mother Earth. She said that Karan had hurt her by his bone-crushing fist and cursed him that in his most crucial war that Mother Earth would clench him in her fist and in such a manner that he will be immovable, therefore giving his enemy an upper hand. It is always said that Karna was a man who followed dharma, but bound by friendship and loyalty, he chose the side that was supporting adharam, that is his friend Duryodhan's side. He believed to win over enemies through talent and skills and not trickery and deceit. He was also against Draupadi's Chirharan planned by Shakuni, which ultimately led to the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata was an 18-day-long war in which Bhishma Pitama was the commander-in-chief from the Kaurav's side, and he demanded Karna not to participate in the war as he did not want a Suryaputra fighting under him. Because of this reason, Karna entered the battlefield on the 11th day after the fall of Bhishma Pitama. On the 17th day of the war, Arjun and Karna were indulged in a duel. At this moment, Karna's all three curses came into play. His chariot got stuck in a hole and it became very tough to pull it out, thus the Mother Earth's curse. At this moment, Karna was trying to pull out his chariot with all his might when Lord Krishna ordered Arjun to attack Karna. Here the cow owner's curse came into play, that he would be helpless. And after Arjun attacked Karna, he tried to retaliate. He forgot all his knowledge. He was not able to invoke any astra because of Bhagwan Parshurama's curse. Therefore, all these curses led to his death. Even while he was dying, he didn't refuse people who asked him for anything. While he lay smitten in blood, Lord Krishna disguised himself as a Brahmin and asked Karna for some food or money, in reply to which Karna took out his golden tooth and handed it over to the Brahmin. Impressed by this gesture, Lord Krishna came into his true form, a sight which only a total of 3 people including Karna had ever witnessed. All his life, Karna was ridiculed, shamed and humiliated every time, not just by other characters. He was shamed by his own fate itself, but he never stopped learning. He never stopped fighting. He never stopped being a loyal friend to Duryodhan. And he never refused to stand up for what he believed in, and that is dharma. The most important of all is that he never stopped giving. He gave away his most valuables at a request, even though he knew the outcome of which would not be in his favor. So if you ever think that you have a bad day and life is not going as you want it to, take heart from story of Karna and face it nonetheless without fear of failure and without any interruption in learning. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the time, you will always be remembered as someone who never stopped trying and someone who always did the right thing.